Cardano started as a long arc research and development project. The point of Cardano was to ask, where do we need to go? What do we need to do to have an ecosystem with 1 billion people, not an ecosystem with 1 million, and be able to sustainably provide a financial operating system for them? Furthermore, what collections of technologies need to be brought together to enable that ecosystem to actually do that at a reasonable cost for the bottom 2 billion people? So it's a big ecosystem. It's a complicated topic. It's not Doge. It's not easy. It's not just one thing. It's a vision and a pursuit of saying, how do you build something where power floats to the bottom? It stays decentralized as you go from millions to billions of users. It has predictable cost as things run on it. And also you're able to run the things that you care about on it.
A tsunami is coming for Cardano. Cardano is one of the most interesting blockchain projects and it has a huge passionate community behind it. However, it is also a very divisive cryptocurrency. Most figures in the space either hate it or love it. This all came to a front this week when tech billionaire Mark Cuban, who has done a complete 180 on cryptocurrencies in the last year, got in a spat with Cardano founder Charles Hoskinson on Twitter. Mark Cuban has been a big supporter and advocate for cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and even Dogecoin, calling for it to go to $1. This week, he broke his silence on Cardano, tweeting out, "Are you personally able to use ADA for anything? If so, what have you used it for?" That's the question I ask about all crypto. Do you find yourself using it for anything that you find value in? Charles Hoskinson was quick to respond, tweeting back, "You're breaking my heart, Mark, but levity aside, come by the farm in Colorado sometime and let's chat." Mark Cuban replied back, "Levity aside, Charles, whenever someone pitching me tells me it has to be in person, that's a red flag. I know this isn't a pitch, but would love to know, where do you use ADA on a daily basis? How should or could I use it today? I can answer this for all the crypto I own." Then, Charles Hoskinson decided to jump on livestream to explain the use cases and why Cardano will crush Ethereum in the future. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video where we go over the entire Cardano ecosystem, what near-term catalysts could come for ADA, and what notable figures in the space, such as Benjamin Cohen, had to say on the topic. Also, only a tiny percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind. Enjoy the video.
You're a consumer experience guy, we're a consumer experience guy. You tell me, is it sustainable to have an application where the transaction fee costs more than the amount of value being moved? Person's moving $10 of value, costs $900 to move that. That's where the market standard Ethereum is currently at. And it's a non-trivial thing to move away from that without admitting some degree of centralization, which means the entire model needs to be rebuilt. Second, there are only 80,000 Solidity developers, and there are 25 million developers throughout the world who are .NET developers and Java developers and so forth. So how do we bring those people in? And how do we get them to use their tools and techniques and languages that they've written collectively trillions of dollars worth of software throughout the last 40 years into the Cardano ecosystem? So we had to rebuild that entire model and figure that out. And we brought some of the best people in the world, people who write programming languages for a living, like Philip Wadler and others who created the Haskell programming language and worked on most modern languages throughout the last 30 years. And now we're turning that system on with an aim to not only have it in place this year, but also pour over lots of great dApps that exist in Ethereum through something called the ERC20 converter. Last year, only 31% of new dApps were produced on Ethereum, 69% were not. So being the colossal network effect monster, the reality is that they're losing their steam. And not only that, most app developers, when polled, especially in the top 50, top 100, either have plans to be multi-chain or have already decided to start migrating to different chains because of cost and quality concerns while being on Ethereum. The first to admit this is Ethereum itself, which is why they're trying to rebuild their model for Ethereum 2. And that's like moving a cruise ship. So it's a dying monopoly in that respect, giving us plenty of time to do that. Despite the fact that we still haven't turned on smart contracts for the system, there's already actually dozens of DeFi applications that have come out, want to move into our ecosystem, or new ones that are being found in our ecosystem, which has well more than 1 million people. just in the traditional Western world. And they're very evangelistic. They've named their vineyards in Napa Valley, Cardano, there's Cardano wine. They've renamed hotels in Spain and actually accept payments. So what can you do with your ADA today? You can issue assets, you can buy wine, you can stay at hotels, more than 50,000 locations. Billions of dollars worth of ADA is moving on a daily basis, changing hands between people. Unlike Ethereum, you can vote with it, because there's a voting framework to distribute over $1 billion worth of venture capital for a growth engine for our ecosystem. And there's already been, I think, 4 or 5 funding rounds for that. Every time a round comes in, 20 to 40 ventures get funded, more on the way. And then we have a whole bunch of other things. These guys are building highways, but they have cars without license plates driving on their highways. So all your transactions that are occurring, they don't have any notion of identity. We have that. These deals we do in Ethiopia, like the 5 million new customers we brought into the cryptocurrency space, we brought them in by giving them identities called DIDs, decentralized identifiers. This is going to become one of the most important and relevant things for dApps over the next 5 or 10 years, because compliance is coming. As you're aware, there's things like anti-money laundering and know your customer and so forth. It's not about just getting the application to market. It's about understanding that this application may cover a regulated activity. So what tools exist in the toolbox to actually allow you to handle that regulated activity in a mostly automated way? These are the kinds of things we think about in the Cardano ecosystem. This is who we are and what we do, and we build it on open source foundations, patent free, over 105 academic papers, I think around 10,000 plus citations. They go through the standard peer review process. If you're a regular computer scientist, whatever you do in cryptography or machine learning, go through no corners cut, no exceptions. So you know that it's being built with great protocols, and we built it for the future. And given the fact that all the dApps are not sticky, they're fluid, it doesn't really matter if you launch your smart contracts today or 5 years ago. The really successful applications are mercenary. They're going to move over, whether that be CryptoKitties, or it be a DEX, or it be a stable coin. And there's a lot of amazing education like the Plutus Pioneers program. As I mentioned, we're just about to turn on smart contracts here as an ecosystem. It's happening the second half of 2021. And every 6 to 8 weeks, the governance system gets more evolved. And we've just recently fully decentralized the entire network, beating Ethereum to the transition to proof of stake and kind of guiding the way about how to run a global scale network for about 6 gigawatts of power. Unlike what Bitcoin runs on, which is 113 terawatts of electricity. So it's my life's work, and I love having out on a ranch, got some mini donkeys and some sweet tea and other things. And it's good to talk about these because it's not just a product, it's an ecosystem. And there are many products within that ecosystem, some of which are highly investable, some of which are just pure technology, and they're not quite investable, and they're more of the dominion of scientific inquiry or open source infrastructure. And it's not something to be taken lightly. One final thing, we are one of the few, if not only, major ventures in the cryptocurrency space that has native access to Africa. And this is my passion. I don't know where your passions lie, but something I wake up every day and think about. And right there is where I believe DeFi is going. You know, here in America, it's easy for us to get a loan. It's very cheap for me to get credit. I know it's cheap for you too. But when you live in Ghana, or you live in Nigeria, or you live in Ethiopia, some people there, they have to spend 85% interest to get a loan under $100. And that's a moral failing of the global order and the global system. That's got to stop. And that's not because of racism or evil banks or things like that. It's systems. And the whole point of why we build what we build, why we have an identity stack, and why we're making sure we have an easy path to get great DeFi applications and run them at a very low cost, why we have these democratic elements and we can scale the system to billions of users, is that our intention is to onboard users in those jurisdictions. Those deals, they take years to do. Ethiopia took us over 4 years to negotiate during a civil war. And despite that, and despite it being listed as in the bottom 5% of countries of ease of doing business, we were able to close a deal for 5 million people that's going to grow to over 20 million people, which is one of the largest, if not largest, single deals in our industry. And we did that in giving each and every one of their case through 12 people in the country identity, which will eventually give them economic identity. A payment system will be connected to that.
So there's Charles Hoskinson really giving the rundown on the value proposition of Cardano. He followed up this tweet with a diagram showing just how monstrous an ecosystem the ADA network is becoming, and some news out today. Cardano shared that over 900 companies are already in the pipeline for working together with them. This is going to be a monster. Notable figure in the crypto community, Benjamin Cohen, chimed in on the Twitter spat, tweeting, "What could you use Doge for before you started accepting it as a payment for mass merchandises? Investing in ADA is like investing in a startup. Imagine asking why a company has not sold anything when they are still in the design phase," which I think is a very good point. Anyway guys, let me know if you think Mark Cuban has a point or if you are on the Cardano side. Hope that provided you with some value. I'll see you in the next video, and as always, have a great day.